You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
I think it is official. It is my favorite show of the week. I love being able to hopefully get you in the right mindset, or at least give you a little bit of a nudge to creating your absolute best life. And of course, one of the reasons why I love doing this show so much is because I myself, just like everyone out there, including you, needs that daily push, needs that daily motivation, because life is not necessarily easy all the time. We can't always control all the outside events around us, but we can, in time, control our framing of those events, our feedback towards those events, and starting to control our overall emotions. When we are able to do that, we're able to capture life. We're able to take back control of our health, our mind, our body, our relationships, our spirituality, our careers, our financial success, anything else that you set your mind to. I truly believe that. I've seen it come to fruition over and over, and even more so the last couple of years. I've seen it with myself, I've seen it in my private practice, I've seen it with my family, I've seen it with friends, and I've seen it now start to spread through our online-based community. And I believe the reason is this: as people share more and more success stories, people just like you, people like me, we begin to believe, if this person made the change, why can't I? If they achieved this level of success and they were in a similar situation as me, what's stopping me from being able to do that? That is what I want to focus on today, because I'm telling you right now, there is a secret to success. I wouldn't say that it's being hidden. I would say that we've just overlooked it, that we've brushed it to the side, and that sometimes we just don't want to believe, that we don't want to believe that this is the answer that we've been looking for. But I want to start here. And this is really important, because a lot of times you're always given the how, or you're given what to do. This is important. I've talked about this with Bruce Lee's Golden Circle before, okay? This is really important. So I've talked about how there's basically 3 parts to this golden circle, and I'm going to have my team embed this episode today. So if you head on over to stephencabral.com/1487, you'll be able to see that show. We'll embed it right there below today's show. Really important though, because there's 3 actual ways that you go about achieving your goals. I'm not going to give you those 3 today. But what happens is a lot of us focus on the outer circle. It's the what to do, okay? So for example, you want to lose weight, you want to transform your body. Maybe you've had the same goal for 5 years, maybe 10 years. You want to get back to your best shape, right? So it's like at this time in your life, say, no, this is the year, this is the summer, this is the spring, this is the fall, whatever it might be, that I'm going to get in my best shape. I'm going to dedicate myself to the exercise, to the diet, to everything that needs to be done. Yet it doesn't necessarily happen. But you focus on the what. Hey, here's the plan that's going to get me there. It worked for my friend. It worked for this person. Okay, that's the what. That's what you need to do. But why doesn't it happen? Why doesn't it happen? So here's why. A lot of times you're focusing on the activity that needs to get you there. Now, that's important. I always talk about that all the time. You need the coach, you need the doctor, you need the integrative health practitioner, you need the mentor, you need the dating counselor. You need whoever that person is that has the blueprint, okay? You need to read their book, you need to do their course. That works because, if it's a reputable company, well, they have an answer. Is it the right answer for you? Maybe, maybe not, right? Maybe, maybe not. But that's the activity. Okay, that's the activity. It's still needed, but that is not what I'm going to focus on in today's show. Because although you always need a blueprint, there's something that comes way before that. And even if you have the best blueprint in the world, I tell this to people all the time. I tell them in the wellness-based practice. I tell this to our integrative health practitioners all the time. We're going to be teaching this in our next phase, our next course of the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, is that you can give someone the absolute best plan in the world. You know it's going to work. You know it's going to rebalance their gut microbiome. You know that it's going to help with stress. You know that it's going to help with hormones, whatever it might be. But the truth is, It doesn't work for that person. They don't follow through. They self-sabotage. Now they have the plan. They just need to follow the plan. That's it. I spoke with someone the other day, really well-meaning person, great person, unable to even stick with the 21-day functional medicine detox, actually specifically the 21-day fat velocity plan. Now they know they would most likely lose 10 pounds in that 21 days. They know that. Their goal is to lose 20 pounds. We know in 3 weeks we could do at least half of that. We know that. We guarantee that. Like, it's not like we're just making these things up. We've been doing this for 20 years. We know it's going to work for them. They know it's going to work for them. They can't commit to it. They just say, I just don't think I could do it. I'd have to give up, my favorite food. And they went on and I asked them, I said, well, what's the food that you have to give up? And specifically in this case, it was alcohol. And I said, I get it. You enjoy this particular type of alcohol. But you're telling me right now that alcohol is more important than your health, and it's more important than achieving your goal that you've told me of 20 pounds that you want to lose, that you've been trying now for 6-7 years to do that. I know we can help you do that. 20 pounds we might be able to do that in 8 weeks. It might be that quick. I really believe that. They did not have a big enough why. That's part of it, okay? And for them right now, even though they want it, not strong enough. So they can have, the activities are not hard to find, right? And you don't have to work with my company or anything to do with what I specifically lay out for blueprints. You can work with anyone in the world. That's always what I talk about. You have to know the foundations. And that's what we're talking about today. So the activity that gets you to your goal is important. But way before that, I need you to work on this. I need you to focus on, what do you want for your ultimate outcome? Don't focus on the plan at first. What do you want your ultimate outcome to be? Okay. So, for example, this person wants to lose 20 pounds. Great. So what we need to focus on is, okay, how did I, because you want to put that in the past tense, how was I able to lose that 20 pounds? How was I able to lose that weight and achieve my ideal goal weights? What did I do in order to be successful at finally taking off this last 20 pounds? So you're already saying that it's done. You need to phrase that in your mind. Allow your brain, allow your nervous system to already believe it's a done deal. This has been done for so many people. Nikola Tesla talking this way, Jefferson talking this way, Benjamin Franklin writing about it in his autobiography. So many great thinkers throughout the ages said they would rest on it. They would think on it. They would pose the question before bed. They would pose the question before a nap. And they didn't get it always right away, but they already posed it. How did I lose that 20 pounds? The activity, the opportunity will present itself. But just like in our person who wanted to lose that 20 pounds, you know your outcome, but is it strong enough? It may not be for many, many reasons. There's also for people who have relationship issues. And every single relationship they've had, it's gone great for the first 6 months. And then it starts to slide a bit. And it starts to slide in the same exact way almost every single time. Why is that? Is it because they only meet people that act in this particular way? Maybe. Maybe that's who they attract. Or maybe it's this specific person. Maybe unconsciously they're self-sabotaging because of who they feel they are at a much deeper self-conscious level. Or same with wellness, or same with weight loss, back to that again. Okay, the person gets rid of their digestive issues, they get rid of their migraines, they get rid of their skin rashes, whatever it might be, and then 6 months later it comes back. Why? Well, they reset back to their normal thermostat. So we all have this normal thermostat. It's basically our core temperature, right? It's who we are, that we believe we are at a core level. And unless we change that, unless we actually change the thermostats, right? So for example, in your house, you set your thermostat to 70 degrees. But it's a cold day out. Here in Boston, it's about 32 degrees. Okay, you open the window, you're letting 32-degree air blow into your house. That's currently 70 degrees. And what happens is this. That thermostat kicks on your heat to continue to push heat and push heat and push heat until you get to that 70 degrees again. So you can be trying to change your internal house, right? Change your internal core beliefs, your temperature, but you're working against yourself because that thermostat that's set to 70, that's your subconscious. So what we really need to do is change that core temperature. But how do we do that? Well, here's the biggest thing we have to understand. If you are someone that's wanted to achieve a goal for a very long period of time, years. Okay, years. You've never been able to do it. I want to share with you most likely why. And it's because we eventually act and we ultimately get who or what we believe that we are. And people will struggle and they'll fight against this and they won't necessarily believe it. They're like, no, I grew up in a community where no one was able to achieve this. And I grew up in a very poor household and poor community. Well, I don't disagree with that. That actually happened. I believe you. The difference is this. All of that programming holds true with you today. So yes, no one in your community or hardly anybody in your community ever changes from who they will believe themselves to be. So yes, you believe yourself to be that person who grew up in that particular way. But now at 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, whatever it might be, you have the ability to change. But what happened was this. It's just like the story of the baby elephant, right? I've told this story before. This story is not mine. This is an old proverb. But what happens is when you are training elephants as a baby, you will simply stick a stick in the ground, a post in the ground, very light post, and you'll tie a rope around the elephant's ankle, and you'll tie it around the post. And as a baby elephant, they will struggle against that post or that very thin tree. And they'll struggle and they'll struggle and they'll struggle, and they realize they can't lift out that post. They can't move that thin little tree. And they'll try it again the next day. And they'll try it again the next day. And ultimately, they just understand they can't move when they're tied to this post. Now, as an adult, you slip that rope around their ankle. You tie it around that thin sapling, that thin tree, that thin post, that stick in the ground. And the elephant doesn't even try to get away. It doesn't try to move because it's already been conditioned as a young child, as a baby, that it's not able to break free of its environment. And it's no different from any of us. It was no different from me. And I'm not the master of this necessarily domain, but I'm a student of it and I work every day towards it. And because of that, my life is dramatically different than it was 10 years ago. And it was dramatically different 10 years ago as it was 10 years before that. Completely changed over the last 20 years. So when people say that you can't change, that people don't change, please don't listen to them. The majority of the people do not change. 99+% of people in the world do not change. And that doesn't mean they're bad people. It does mean that they are unaware, that they're not listening to a podcast like this. And where am I getting all of this from? Well, I'm getting all of this information from thousands of years of philosophy, from thousands of years of great people, whether it be or great thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, or we have, again, like someone like a Benjamin Franklin, or people closer in our day, such as Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn, a lot of people don't know this, but Jim Rohn was the mentor to Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins teaches a lot of this information as well, but not the only one, right? We have Zig Ziglar, we have Maxwell Maltz, right? I talk about Maxwell all the time in Psycho-Cybernetics. I used to listen to that CD collection over and over and over and over. That was about 15 years ago, and I listened to it over and over and over until I could basically recite it. Why? Because there's brilliance behind it. Maxwell Maltz was a plastic surgeon. And what happened was this. Many people came to him because they wanted to change their outward appearance. And he helped them with that. But they were not happy after their plastic surgery. Why? Because although he was able to give them the look that they wanted to, it did not change who they were underneath. And this was brilliant. So Maxwell Maltz went from being a plastic surgeon to essentially a great self-improvement and motivational-based, let's call him philosopher. And because of that, we've learned probably more from him and got more benefit from him than other people would have gotten from the plastic surgery, because now he's speaking his truth. And I feel like, although I don't think that I could ever fill Maxwell Maltz's shoes, who's now deceased, I do feel like I'm moving a lot more towards that direction. Because I know that I have the digestive-based protocol, the hormone protocol, the fertility-based protocols, the headache, migraines, skin issues, adrenal. I have those protocols. And we've used them, not a couple times, but with over 250,000 people. I read the research. I make adjustments as needed. I teach this to thousands of other practitioners every single year. They go out and use that with thousands of other people. We know it works, but how do we get people to adopt it? How do we get people to follow through? How do we get people to want it more? How do we get them to actually say, I can achieve this and I will achieve this? There's really only one way. There's only one way of changing that baby elephant's mind, right? That's really only one way. And that is to somehow understand, and I believe we can do this, that what we've been programmed to believe that we're holding with us today happened for many of us 10, 20, 30, 40 plus years ago. And when you start to understand that, you might start to have regrets. You might start to get angry. You might start to get upset. That's what I did in the beginning. But you have to realize that everyone around you, in your community, in your family, your friends, your circle, everyone for the most part, now they weren't always good decisions. People didn't always have good parents. I was lucky to have good parents. They were good. They taught me, right from wrong. They helped me with so many things. But they had their own programming that I picked up there. Now, were they ever trying to share with me anything that would do me wrong or do me harm? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But you have to understand, your programming is good as the software that was written, and you didn't get to write it. That's the unfortunate thing. Well, maybe it's not so bad, but you didn't get to write it, okay? So what you picked up, especially before 7 years old, and most of us can't even remember before that. Why? We are in a different, more theta-based brainwave. We are like a sponge. We are absorbing. Very difficult to get to that state. That is the state right before sleep and right when you're waking up, okay? So there is some programming that can go into that. That's why it's nice to do these things right before bed and right when you wake up, right? It's those anchors that I talk about, and you can check that out on previous shows as well. But what we need to do is first accept, okay? Not a bad thing. For the most part, people were trying to do the best that they could for me. My community is where I was dropped into in this life. Who knows why? Who knows how? Is it chance? Is it destined? We don't know, right? But that's our starting point. That does not have to be your ending point. So what do? How do we change? We need to do something that's always been talked about throughout the ages. You need to change the definition of who you are. Not just saying it, but actually who you believe yourself to be. That means your core identity, which essentially dictates how you live your life, needs to change. Because you will always get in life what you believe you truly deserve and who you are. You at a deep subconscious level, not what you believe at a conscious level, but what you believe in your programming, in your wiring. And if you truly believe that, your mind seeks out the opportunities, the actions you can take, and the ways to go about achieving that. So that is why it's important that you look before your activities, before your blueprint, that you actually work on changing that mindset. And by mindset, I mean the core identity, your thermostat of who you believed you will be. It's always why we hear about people who win the lottery within 3 years, 5 years maximum, end up going right back to where they were before they won the lottery. Well, their thermostat is set at $30,000 a year, for like whatever it might be. And so they might have won $10 million or whatever it may be. Well, they spent it, they lost it. They're back to their comfort zone. They're back to their identity. They didn't change their identity. If they changed their identity to someone who has $10 million, they would have the $10 million today. If they changed their identity to someone that even had more than that, they would begin to find new ways to invest that money and potentially accumulate more money. But who knows? Again, it's one way of looking at it. If that person I mentioned earlier changes their identity to someone who prizes their overall health and wellness, and they understand that by losing that 20 pounds, they're going to rebalance hormones, energy, sleep, inflammation, blood sugar levels, etc. Well, for sure, they'd achieve that within the next 90 days. No doubt about it. So what we're really talking about is, what do we do in order to change who we believe we are? And of course, I want to share with you how to do that right now. What you need to do is first to go towards your outcome, okay? You don't necessarily believe yet. You haven't changed your identity yet, but you say to yourself, I want to find that perfect person. I want to actually work in that relationship, and here's what I want that ultimate outcome to be. It could be family, it could be travel with something, like whatever it is. You need to picture that for yourself. I can't tell you what you want your ultimate outcome to be. Same with career, finances, your passion, your body, your health. Okay? You need to identify that. Then what you need to do is say, okay, now I have my outcome. Okay. Now we need to say this. Who do I need to be in order to achieve that? Well, if it's weight loss, you need to be, especially if you're someone with a slower, more kapha metabolism and or morph metabolism, you need to become the person who moves their body. 10,000 steps a day, no questions. Exercises more days than not. And then what you need to do, and of course the nutrition, then you need to do this. You need to understand that you have to create rituals. It's one thing to push yourself to the limit every day, but how long does that last? That's why I don't believe in these fad diets. It's why I don't believe in these crazy workout programs and boot camps 5 days a week. Here's the thing. I know it's not sustainable. And if you fail over and over, it begins to become your new identity as someone who can't achieve it. I need you to create rituals that are realistic, but I need you to create something that's different than your typical activity that a lot of people call rituals. What I need you to do is program into your schedule. This is a new program. This is the time of the day that I do this every single day. Now, we're talking about long tasks because those won't be able to be maintained. But if you need to lose that weight, if possible, ideal situation, go to bed earlier, wake up a half hour earlier, or go to bed a half hour earlier, wake up a half hour earlier, and you're going to get a half hour workout in the morning. You just bought yourself an extra half hour. You're using that to get the body moving. No doubt about it. You're going to do some fasted cardio in the morning. You're going to do a high-intensity interval training, resistance training session. You're going to do something. You're just going to go out and walk. But you are going to do something that allows you every single day, let's say at 6 a.m., to move your body. And you're going to do that because you don't have any other choice. Why? Not that you can't make a different choice, but you're changing your identity. You are now the type of person who embodies health and wellness. You're the type of person who acts like the person who wants to lose the weight and maintain a healthy body. And so those are the things that you do, not because you have to, but it's because it's who you are. You could never think any other way. There are some people who just go into work and they do that every day. It's a part of who they are. There are other people who are really focused on their wellness-based routine. They don't go, they'll turn down going to social events that go on till midnight because they know for them, the best way for them to stay healthy is they're in bed by 9:45 p.m. every single night, right? 28 out of 30 days a month. And they're doing that because they know that is how they maintain their overall wellness. Because no matter what, they need to be up with their kids, their family, whatever it is, at 6 a.m. the next morning. And if they want 8 hours of sleep to be the best for themselves, to be the best for everyone else, they're getting in bed by 9:45 p.m. It's not because they have to. It's because it's who they are. They prize health and wellness. It's a part of them. It's the part of the ultimate outcome that they want, which is the energy, the vitality, the zest for life. And they can't get that without proper rest. So I ask you today, what is it that you want? What is it that is your ultimate outcome in life? Give this some time. Think about this. Feel free to replay the podcast. There's no one that says that you can't do that. Start to define what your outcome is. Don't worry about the activity or the blueprint yet that will get you there. Don't worry about that. Once you're focused on the outcome and what it is that you are, your identity now is attached to that, believe me, you will find the opportunities, you will become aware of them. That reticular activating system in the brain will guide you towards them. You will then be able to take action. But don't just take action. And don't create anything in your life, unless it's like a short 21-day intro with a maintenance-based plan. Don't commit to anything that you know that you won't be able to make a realistic part of your life. That 28 out of 30 days a month, right? So then you'll start to create rituals. Rituals are things that don't just happen. They're a part of your life. They're part of your morning routine. They're a part of your bedtime routine. There's something that is plugged into your day that makes you a part of who you are. And because it makes you a part of who you are, and who you are is locked up in your identity, and your identity allows you to easily take actions without even thinking about them, because it's just part of your day, it's part of who you are. That is what ultimately allows you to take the actions, follow the steps to achieving the goals that you want in life. And when you achieve the goals that you want in life, you feel more of a sense of fulfillment. You feel more passionate about life. You feel like your life matters. And when you look back, you're proud of the life that you lived. Thank you so much for tuning into today's show. I truly appreciate you. I really do. And if today's show was helpful, please do feel free to give it a share with anyone you believe it could serve. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.